Alright guys, welcome to another tutorial. Today we're just going to do your simple projectile shoot object. And so we have a tank here, and for all intents and purposes this is just going to be a simple tutorial. Nothing too fancy. As you can see, this is about as low tech as it gets. But it still does a purpose. So we're going to shoot that red cannonball from the tank and see how much fun we can have. Alright, so as you can see, we've got our tank here. Now, right now it can just move and pretty much aim, so that's great and all, but we need to launch the bullet out of the barrel. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create a location it's going to fly out from, not necessarily the barrel here. We need to make like a fake barrel. To do this, click on your object for your barrel, like so, create empty child. Okay, and this is going to be kind of like a false location. It's just basically empty object. Kind of move it into place. Now we want to make sure that we can visualize this. That way we can see what's going on. So with your game object selected, left click over the icon drop down menu box here, and I'm going to make it orange. So this, it's not really a physical object, it's more like a visualization. But Unity is basically telling us this is where the object is going to fly out from. And from there you can pretty much move it into place, but this is pretty good since our map was top down. So I'm going to name this to the barrel shoot. So we have that. It's always going to be in the tank barrel since it's already parented, and so this is where our bullet's going to fly out from. Alright, so next thing, we need to make a bullet itself, or a cannonball. So go to Game Object, 3D Object, Spear. So I'm going to name this the cannonball, nothing too fancy. And I already had a material to where if I click and drag this over, we now have turned it from silver to red. Okay? And right now I'm just going to basically just kind of reset this so it's back at 0, and I'm going to apply a rigid body, because rigid body is going to give us stuff like gravity, and sometimes you can find it already, and once you click on add component. But if you need to search for it, just type in rigid or rigid body. And you don't want the 2D one, that's for a whole other type of game, your side scroller. We're going to do 3D, so just go to simple rigid body. Okay. Alright, so cannonball can basically move. Now the problem is that later on we're going to add a destroy script. So when we are producing multiple bullets, it's just not going to weigh the game down by having like 200 cannonballs that aren't really going away or disappearing. That's just more memory being consumed again and again. So that's kind of a fatal issue right there. That'll crash your game. And what we want to do is add a destroy script in our program, or in our programming, and I'll show you that in a second. So what we want to do is, since this cannonball is essentially all ready, place it in a very good position. I'm just going to, for right now, use the asset folder. Click and hold down, drag in. I'm going to turn it into a prefab. Now that accidentally got thrown into the standard assets folder, so I'm just going to move that and go back to the assets. So there it is. So cannonball has the ability for physics, and it's colored red. It's a cannonball. Okay. So this is great. We've got the location here where the bullet's going to fly out. We have our cannonball. Now, if we push play, the problem is it's not really going to do much, and we're going to change that in a second. Alright, so next thing up is we need to add programming. Our programming script will be in C#, and the one area that we want to place it in is actually going to be in the location where it's going to fly out from. So you don't want to place it on the barrel shoot itself. For this purpose, I'm going to add it to the actual geometric barrel, so the actual object itself. And simply I go to the add component, and I had a script for this already. So it's called fire code. That's what it's called. Alright, so fire code is empty. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go through real quick and just kind of review it. It's a very simple script. Alright, one thing before we go on to the script is this. So for your bullet section, make sure you have the right cannonball. If, like before, we had it here in the prefab section, just like this, you want to make sure you just get rid of the original that was in your hierarchy, okay? And use the one that's in your folders, okay? That way, no influences and the translates or rotates, no extra numbers, everything's zeroed out, you don't have to worry about anything. Just make sure you've got the right cannonball usage. So click and drag it up there into the field. It should be ready to go. Alright, so this is the fire code. You can see that, its overall name, behavior, variables, all very important. Now, it's not going to do anything just yet in start. This is going to be updated in the void update function. And so what we have here is basically if we push down mouse button 1, which is fire 1. Fire 1 is named default for left mouse button. Or control, I believe, also as well. So when we push that, we're going to instantiate the bullet variable, which is, if you find it up here, is a game object. And we can designate that by dropping it into the field in Unity. And I'll show you that in a second. But it's going to instantiate or create it at like a copy at the location of the barrel. And that is also another variable that we have here. And I'll show you what that will be in a second. So we create it as game object. Now, if you do that, what will happen is the bullet will basically drop to the ground, won't do anything. That's not what you want in a battle. That's called a dud. So we don't want that to happen. So we need to apply force. So basically, we add this line of code here: cannonball.get component rigid body .add force. And so basically, we're adding the force of the transform.forward times the speed variable. Okay, and then we have that set to public so we can adjust it in Unity, and int as integer, so solid numbers, single numbers, you could make that into a float if you want, if you really want to get technical, but for this lesson we're just going to go to basic single numbers, 1, 2, 3, not 1.0, not 1.5, no, not that. So it'll pull that number from up above and multiply it to here. Okay, and so that will show us, well, that'll allow us to fire the bullet. And the last part is the destroy command, where we basically tell it destroy the cannonball, which we have here, which was just an instantiation of the bullet, and destroy it at the variable number destroy bullet. Okay. So whatever we predesignate this in, not predesignate, but designate this in Unity, it'll destroy it at that time. So 2, 3, 4, whatever. That's in terms of seconds. So, and it's pretty accurate. And then everything else, you just make sure you have the right correct brackets, and then you should be all ready to rock and roll. So the last part of this is that we go ahead and if we click on the barrel where the fire code script is, you see everything's emptied and zeroed out. Nothing's going to work. You're going to get a bunch of possible errors, or nothing's going to happen at all. So the first thing is that now that we have cannonball as a variable, as a prefab, you want to throw that into your script. So it's going to look for that bullet. Now you're going to ask yourself, what type of speed? I'm going to set this to 10. In all cases, it's going to be different. I don't know what type of bullet you have or weapon for the tank. I'm not too sure. Now the barrel is going to be your theoretical barrel, and that's going to be actually your empty game object, so your barrel shoot. So you go back to your script, wherever it may be. There we go. Click and drag your empty game object that's visualized, drop it in the barrel, and that's going to be where it's going to launch out from. And then pick a number. You know, it might take some testing on this, but you will go ahead and actually, I'm going to set this for 2 seconds, and then you should be all ready to go on this, and we'll test it out. Alright, so we're going to try this out, and so here we go, play, let's see what happens. We've installed the code. We got duds. That's not good for battle. Okay, so we got to fix this. Let's see what we can do back in the inspector. Basically, I think what's going on is this. What's going on is that our velocity isn't high enough. So I'm just going to simply set this to 5,000. That should correct the problem. And we'll try it again. Alright, so as you can see, the tank moves and it shoots. And because we have rigid body on there, it's colliding with the terrain, and that terrain was given a mesh collider, so it's actually bouncing off the terrain itself. So it's real simple. You can make the cannonball any other shape you want. You can pre-designate the speed to something faster or slower, or change the argument in the script so you can have more of an arc. So there you go, pretty simple. Now the script that wasn't included with this was to destroy an enemy, and we'll follow up with that on another day. But for now on, have fun making your games and keep at it. Alright, thanks for watching this video. If it was helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your question in the comment section of this video. Thanks for tuning in. Have fun making games. Alright, so as you can see, the tank moves and it shoots. And because we have rigid body on there, it's colliding with the terrain, and that terrain was given a mesh collider, so it's actually bouncing off the terrain itself. So it's real simple. You can make the cannonball any other shape you want. You can pre-designate the speed to something faster or slower, or change the argument in the script so you can have more of an arc. So there you go, pretty simple. Now the script that wasn't included with this was to destroy an enemy, and we'll follow up with that on another day. But for now on, have fun making your games and keep at it. Alright, thanks for watching this video. If it was helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask your question in the comment section of this video. Thanks for tuning in. Have fun making games.